Okay guys, welcome back. So this is another video I have to do purely because there is a lot of misinformation out there, and there is a lot of you on this channel, especially on your BMWs, that are doing this and also making a fatal mistake by doing this, because you replace these parts and then they go out within 50,000 miles and you wonder why. Now, I'm not saying you are to blame, but there is a lot of you to blame, because some of you are none the wiser. You come from other cars and you just think you can treat it, these cars, BMWs, the same as your previous cars. And obviously you will go and look online, on YouTube, and there's a lot of people putting misinformation out there, spreading a lot of crap, and you guys are believing it and falling for it and doing the same thing to your BMW. So let's get onto this video so I can explain the mistake you guys are making. Right guys, so as many of you guys know, on the M52s, M53s, N54, N55, a lot of cars use the electric water pump. Before that, they used a mechanical water pump. And then people still choose to do this even on their mechanical water pumps, and then wonder why their water pumps thermostats do not last long. They buy a BMW and just get it, want to change the water pump, want to change the thermostat, want to do everything to it, to the cooling system, which is absolutely fine. Then what they don't understand is what coolant they're meant to use. Now, you won't believe how many people I see on YouTube giving the wrong advice, saying, you can use this one, you can use that one, I put this in mine. And these guys have no clue what they are talking about. No clue. You cannot be doing this to these BMWs. And what I'm about to show you is a product that many of you guys will know. Many of you guys have probably already got in your car. And there's many of you that, when you see this, are probably going to be going red, because you know this video is aimed at you because you're doing it wrong. And I'm going to explain to you why you're doing this wrong, because a lot of people are under this assumption that you can just use this coolant in your BMW, which is simply not the case. Now, the coolant I'm referring to is this right here. Now, many of you guys will know what that is. This is Prestone. Prestone coolant and antifreeze. Now, this is what a lot of people, especially in the US, Canada, and other countries, seem to want to be using in their BMWs. Now here, we call this like a top-up coolant or top-up antifreeze. This is not something we put in any cars here. Yes, they sell it on our shelves just like they do everywhere in the US, but I would never, ever use this in my BMW. Why? Because it's very, very simple. This one, for instance, doesn't have organic acid technology. That's the first thing. Secondly, this doesn't have anti-corrosive properties. Now, if you've ever took a water pump apart or took it off and a thermostat, you'll notice that everything's always corroded in there, and you get this like kind of white electrolyte, where it's usually come to an aluminum block or an iron block, where the water pump is either aluminum or iron, or vice versa. That's from people using the wrong coolant in their cars. And there is many idiots out there, especially on YouTube, let me put it, especially a lot of YouTubers who seem to think they can use this. They cannot. Anyone telling you who can use this, get off their channel, desubscribe from them, remove yourself completely from them, and never let them come up in your recommended ever again. You cannot use Prestone. Prestone is not for BMWs. And I know there's many of you are going to sit there saying, I've been using it for this many years. But then that's the same kind of people that's been using this for many years that end up with a lot of cooling issues. And or even their head gaskets going out, because this also does not protect the aluminum blocks on these. I don't know if many of you guys even know that, but there's a reason why BMW use anti-corrosive properties in OAT coolant. It's purely because this is an aluminum block and it needs to cool it very, very quickly. Not only that, it needs to be efficient and obviously stop it corroding. If you get corrosion on the block or even in the head, then obviously you're gonna have head gasket problems. And that's why many of you always message me saying you've got problems with your M52s and other BMWs, purely because you use this. And this should not be used in any BMWs. Please do not be using this, because I know there's many of you that do. You go and change your water pump, your thermostat, and you go and shove this in. If you've got that in, get this out of your car. Get this out of your complete system on your BMW, purely because that is only going to do more damage, especially if you just replace the water pump. It doesn't have anti-corrosive properties. As many of you guys know, the water pump is aluminum on the outside, and it's got a motor inside. This will just completely destroy it. Then you'll be replacing your water pump very, very quickly. And this is the reason why. And many of you could message me saying your thermostat's already gone out 40,000 miles later, 50,000 miles later, and I get that all the time after you've just replaced it. It's not because you bought a cheap one, it's because you used the wrong coolant. That's the problem why it's gone out so quick. The next one on coolant is this. Now, many of you guys will probably recognize that. This is red coolant. If you can see there, that's G12 plus, okay? Now, another one it can come in is G30. This BMW stopped using many, many moons ago, since 2002, I believe. They stopped using red coolant for a very good reason, because it doesn't have anti-corrosive properties. And you wonder why a lot of the older engines were having a lot of head gasket issues, a lot of coolant issues. BMW stopped using that for that reason. But there's people who will still go and buy the red one and shove it in their BMW. Now, I don't even advise using this even for an emergency, because there's many people say, what about an emergency if you can't get anything else? If you can't get anything else, then you leave the car and you wait. Or you don't start fixing the car and repairing it until you have the right coolant. But do not be putting G12 in. This is for VAG Group, Porsches, and all other cars. This is not designed for BMW engines. All you are doing is going to destroy the engine and even make it overheat, because this is not effective enough to actually keep the engine cool. The same with the Prestone. Do not believe the crap that you see on the label. It will not keep it cool, and it will not protect it down to a certain degree either. It doesn't do it at all. BMW would not highly recommend their OAT coolant if they thought you could use any coolant, okay? It's very, very simple. BMW's coolant is either blue or purple, not red, not green. But there's many people out there, and like I said, there's many people who are watching this who are not gonna like what I'm telling them, because they probably got this, and anyone who don't, it's purely because they've got this in their car. Get it out of your car. You have never ever seen me use a red coolant, either it be my E53s, E46s, no matter what I've done, it's always the blue coolant. E39, even E36, I believe, was still using the blue coolant. Red coolant is a complete no-no for BMWs, complete no-no. And many people just are under that assumption that they can just use it. And the same with Prestone, if they can use it, you can't. And I'm telling you that right now, you cannot use that. Now, the correct coolant is this right here. Now, if you can see, I've got bottles and bottles of this on my shelf. You see here, I've got every single coolant. The reason I've got Prestone is because obviously I've got Dodge. I've got red coolant because I've got Porsches and Volkswagens and Fiats and everything else. And Vauxhall, so they take red coolant. BMW, on the other hand, takes blue coolant, okay? Which is G48. This is what I use. You guys have never seen me use any different, okay? And there's many of you out here saying, always say, oh no, you don't watch this guy, you believe these other ones. But these other ones are leading you the wrong way, okay? They're trying to do it the most cost-effective way to make money from their video. I'm not here to care about the income, okay? I'm telling you the correct way. This is not cheap. No, it is not. But neither are engines, neither are water pumps, neither are thermostats, okay? Neither is your time going back down there to have to replace it. I'm telling you the correct way. I'm not trying to sit here telling you, it's the cheapest way. It's not. Yes, this coolant is expensive, but in the same sense, I'm here trying to protect your engine and save your time. Because I'm telling you, the wrong coolant is only going to damage your engine. If you want to protect your car, do not use the wrong coolant, because Prestone, red coolant is a big fat no-no. And there's loads of people on YouTube that you guys would have seen telling you to use Prestone, okay? There's many YouTubers, they don't have an absolute clue, okay? They don't know their ass from their elbow, as far as I'm concerned, because nobody will tell you to use Prestone. The only repeat time people will use that, I'll be very, very blunt with you, is if you're flogging the car. Just throw whatever you want in it and get rid of it. But if you want to do things properly, because if you get someone that knows BMWs, then it shouldn't be a green coolant, then they're going to complain. And they're going to know that you don't know what the hell you're talking about or what you're doing. Because BMW's coolant should be blue. Now, me, for instance, me doing these videos, I'm doing it because I know I do things properly, so I don't have to worry here. But there's others that don't. And now, like I said, there's people who are not going to like this because they want to get away with using this cheap Prestone crap. In the US, I know it's very popular, very cheap. You can buy it everywhere, Walmart and everything. This is not cheap. And many people will say to me, oh, it is. No, it is not. Even here, it's not. G48, the original BMW OAT coolant is not cheap at all. And you can even buy the BMW one. It's not cheap either, even direct from BMW. That's why people go to Prestone. That's why people try and use G12. You can't even find this in a cheap form. anywhere. You have to buy the Coma Extreme G48 or direct from BMW. There is no cheaper version for this blue coolant. And normal blue coolant, because I know many of you are going to say there is cheap alternatives, is not the same for OAT. Please remember that if it ain't OAT and it's not for BMWs for your year, do not use it. Very, very simple. And stop, please, believing what you see online from these other idiots using Prestone in BMWs. It's wrong, it's bad, and then BMWs do not last. Believe what I'm telling you. They're putting it in, and as YouTubers, they flog on the car months later, and guess what? Can they live to tell the tale? No, and that poor person that's been flogged at ain't doing YouTube to tell you how that car survived either. And I hope this video will help many of you who seem to believe everything you see and read, because even if you read up, people will tell you blue or purple coolant only with the OAT and anti-corrosive properties. Okay guys, so I'm actually glad now I finally got that off my chest, because that is a big, big problem we see on YouTube. And then I see a lot of comments from people telling people, oh yeah, just use Prestone. I put it in my BMW and it's fine. No, don't listen to these people. They have no clue. And that person telling you to use Prestone doesn't even have a clue about the car either. When they're saying they've used Prestone and it's fine, they mean probably in their old Chevys, Dodges, Vaux. They can take that. That's fine. Perfectly fine. You got to remember, that's not a really expensive car like a BMW. That's not an over-engineered car like a BMW. And it's also not aluminum block like most BMWs. So you've got to factor that in mind. These people telling you that do not care. If your engine goes bang now, say, oh man, I'm sorry for that. That's what I mean. Do not believe everything you see on YouTube, because these YouTubers teaching you that if your engine goes bang, they're not going to pay for it. They won't even come back to you. They won't care what happens to your engine. Don't be fooled by what you see. BMW is not cheap maintenance at all. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is. I'm not going to show you no cheap way to look after BMW, purely because there is no cheap alternative to look after a BMW. This was what comes with owning these cars. As many of you guys know, I'm very passionate about this. I like to do things to a T, correct, completely correct. There is no workarounds, no cheap alternatives. It is what it is. You bought a BMW, deal with it, because them type of people are the type to buy a Porsche and then try and only fix the certain parts when it breaks, or throw this in cheap or do this cheap. And there is no cheap. That's why most people don't own Porsches either, because there is no cheap solutions. There's many cheap solutions out there for BMW, but as we all know, cheaper isn't always best, and it always goes wrong and backfires on them people that do that. So please do not use the cheaper solution of coolant either, because that's like, would you drink basically your own urine? No, you wouldn't. So then don't give the car the cheapest out there. Either give it the best and give it what it needs, because obviously that car uses the coolant to circulate through the block to keep it cool. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, guys. It's BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.